think it is Jesse, you know.
Hey, we're buzzing. Somebody's buzzing. I think somebody's microphone is.
Let's get this show going, man.
Welcome to the Bleeding Burgundy Podcast, a Washington Commanders podcast for fans by fans, with your hosts, Jesse Martin.
The Cowboys are finished, you understand me?
John Taman.
Pull down my trousers and do your job.
Scott Hartley.
Well, that was dreadful.
And occasionally, Keith Gregg.
So many social engagements, so little time.
And now, your host.
Hey, that's me. I'm your host. I'm John Taman. And sorry, we're a couple of minutes late today because we had trouble getting our good buddy Scouse through customs. Sorry about that. They were looking at his luggage a long time. And that was kind of embarrassing. I didn't really need to see those small underwear. Anyway, we're going to start down at the bottom since we'll go all the way around. Scouse, how you doing? There's our buddy Scouse from the 1 Point Safety Show right there. How you doing? All right,
Yeah,
he's got
I'm good,
to the show, everybody.
Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?
You're the man of the week, man. Your agent called us up and told me we're having Scouse on Monday, or at least one of my toes is coming off. So I like all my toes. So welcome to the show.
The accuser. Yeah.
The other half of the 1 Point Safety Show down there, our buddy, good friend, Scott Hartley. One of these days, I'm going to make a different one of those, but I do like that. How you doing, Scott?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Yeah, absolutely great. Pumped after DQ's press conference, which I'm sure we'll get into.
And Jesse, it looks to me like you did run through a brick wall after Dan Quinn's press conference. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Look at that, man. I got the backwards hat on again, twice in a row. I'm all in.
The backwards fitted cap, I got to say. Mine always have.
I am where my feet are.
There you go.
Oh.
All right. So, okay, slogan.
Chef's kiss, Jesse.
Very good. Very good. Now, watch, somebody on social media will stop action me right when I was like that, and they'll say, look, he's throwing up that awful, horrible sign. Anyway, look, how do we feel about our hires thus far? We've got a defense coordinator, we've got an offensive coordinator, we've got a head coach, and I might as well start us right off the bat with Jesse because he's got the coolest T-shirt in the place. That is pretty neat.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Look, I was hoping for Chip Kelly. I think he has a better offense. I am warming up to Kingsbury, only to the fact that, with his experience working with young quarterbacks, especially with Kyler Murray. I know we poke fun at Kyler Murray all the time on the show, for being small, but he did a good job with him, and he can play. So if he sticks just, primarily just on offense, hopefully he can adjust because, the air raid offense is his air raid offense is tailored towards the NFL. But second half of the season, teams caught on. So hopefully his breakaway from the NFL has taught him a lesson. But I'm fine with it. I don't hate none of the hires whatsoever. Like that's not. It's not what I think. I think it could work. I mean, hopefully.
Why not? I mean, at this juncture, really, why not, Scott? Why not?
Why not? Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, I honestly think these are strong hires for what we've got. I'm happy with Cliff Kingsbury. I'm happy with Joe Witt as well coming in. Obviously, from what I've heard in the media and respected people who I listen to, like John Keim and others, they are out there saying that Dallas will looking to potentially make him the next defensive coordinator. So if you can steal from your in-house rivals and our hated rivals, happy days. You know what I mean? It makes them worse. And we've just got better. I'm really impressed with what he does on defense. He can follow Dan Quinn's blueprint. Obviously, if you look at where he's been with Dan Quinn, he's followed Dan Quinn through all of the coaching hires. So he's been at Atlanta. He's been at Dallas with him as well. So for me, I'm quite comfortable with this. The air raid offense, yes, we're going to look at this and that you could break this down in many ways. There's tight ends that don't get utilized as much in this system.
Good, we don't have any.
Yeah, I know, but you've got to have quick wide receivers as well.
Zach Ertz had a hell of a good few seasons. And that's, Scotty, what you just said is what my concerns were at first until I actually did deep dive into the offense and into, I thought it was just going to be, just passing, but they were in the top half of the league in running the ball. Zach Ertz had great years with the Cardinals, and with his time with Kingsbury. So he has adapted that air raid college offense to the NFL. So there's some common misconceptions about this offense, and if people just do a little bit of research, they can kind of, understand, where that goes.
I kind of think a lot of times, people evolve, man. People change. They learn from past mistakes. They don't just continue to try to do the same thing twice unless they're really stupid. And I don't think people at that level get to be really stupid. And I'm not talking about on a game-to-game level. I'm talking about on a career level. I'll tell you what, I'm going to throw it down to you, Scouts, because I want you to comment on this. One of the things about Dan Quinn that has impressed me the most is his willingness to look inward for solutions to these problems. He's willing to look at himself. After the Super Bowl, I was listening to the Kime last week. He had some guy on from Atlanta whose name I can't remember, but he said that he called up guys like Terry Francona, who was the head coach of the Indians, the manager of the Indians when they blew a 3-1 lead in the freaking World Series. He called him up, asked him, how did you feel? He called up other big time chokers to ask them how they dealt with it. He brought in outside analysts to look at his own performance. I think that means leadership. Scouts, you got anything you want to add to that, or you want to take away from that? Any comments you want to make on that?
Oh, I like it. I think he should be an internal reflector, to be honest. That's how you learn from mistakes.
Right.
And I think even with him, he's even, say you mentioned before, he actually hired external guys who are totally objective about what he actually did and didn't do, and got a lot more information, even more detailed than what we would do in our normal kind of internal processes. So I'm happy with it, man. I mean, I'm happy with that. It definitely shows that he definitely learned from his mistakes, and you can see that because his defense actually got better as he went into Dallas. And I'm happy with how he does that kind of thing. And good.
To me, that sounds like leadership.
It's more like a Sigma. Like you got Alpha and Beta. Have you ever heard of the Sigma male? Yeah?
Right. And it's like I've always said, a head coach. We always look at it. All these people want to talk about the offensive, defensive head coaches, offensive-minded head coaches, a defensive-minded head coach, blah, 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 blah. It's about leadership-minded head coaches. These guys are going to they become much more delegators than anything as a head coach. They are the originator of philosophy for sure, and they are the administrator of philosophy for sure. But these two hires today are the ones that are going to put together the nuts and bolts. It's not that he's going to have hands off. It's just that a head coach has a wholly different job. I like this Witt hire. Those guys had 59 interceptions from the time he took over that secondary, far and away leading the league. I like that. We have been dying for takeaways, and it looks like now we've got another opportunity, I suppose.
20 years. It took 20 years in coaching he has as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's got a Super Bowl ring with the Green Bay Packers as well. And when he was with the Packers, that defensive backfield was pretty fucking good.
8 years. 8 years. He was a backfield coordinator as well.
Yeah. I love the Joe Witt. The more I learn about him as well, because listen, as fans, we don't scrounge around on other teams, assistant coaches list. It's just not what we are. We kind of learn as we go up. So let's be real here. What I've heard of him. I like what I've heard. I like what I've heard. So
you gotta like what you've seen out of his players too. When you realize passing game coordinator, and then my God, they are fucking good against the pass. Period.
Sure. Yeah. And this can. I'm super happy for Emmanuel Forbes, for a player like Emmanuel Forbes, or a player like Quan Martin. This is just going to up their game, and because those two pieces, they're not going to give up on Forbes anytime soon.
Oh, they can't.
So if Forbes can actually get some hands-on coaching, I think it's the sky's the limit for that kid. And Quan Martin, we've already seen some of what he can do. Yeah. It's good. I think it's going to be interesting. But we do got to remember, I see it online all the time. Ever since the hire, we're going to lose games this year. We all have to realize this. This is going to be another 5-6 win season. If we win 7 games, oh my God, dude, that's fantastic. Good. But we got to keep our expectations down, and we got to, kind of give this staff a leash. Like, seriously, but I know what's going to happen. The whole fucking wall is going to crumble down with this fan base. Going to win a whole lot of games.
All right, I'll tell you what, Scott.
Fucking spam.
Oh, what happened? You all right? Hands-on coaching. This is what got the Catholic Church in trouble. Am I wrong? Okay.
Right, no, you're not wrong. No, you're not wrong.
All right, let me ask you this. So this was a point that keeps coming up in a couple of conversations I was with today. The players that we have, all right, they're bitching about, okay, the Martys are still here. The scouts that are out there that are doing this.
What?
Look, here's the thing. Our coaching staff was terrible, right? Yep. We know this, okay? We saw what happened with Quan Martin once we got clown boy Jack Del Rio out of the picture. They got better. And the fact of the matter is, how do we know that this group of scouts and evaluators didn't find decent players and hand them to people that had no idea what the fuck to do with them? Scott, go ahead. Your turn. Elaborate on that if you will.
No, I agree with you. I mean, we've discussed it. You could have had Darisaw, you could have had Hamilton, you could have had Gonzalez, and instead we got Jamin Davis, Emmanuel Forbes, and Jahan Dotson.
But do those guys are they suffering because of their teachers?
It's a woulda, coulda, shoulda. We got talented players on the team. It's about coaching with talented players.
I'm not denying that. Now, watching his press conference today, I was very impressed. I was impressed with what he said. I was impressed with what he's about, what he's learned, how he's looked internally in himself, which we talked about there a little bit before. Mm-hmm. I'm impressed with how they want to work together with the general manager. We've got a home run hire in a general manager here. A home run hire. Nothing about it. It is absolutely the best hire we could have possibly done in the offseason. Everything is running through the GM. We know that's there. We know that he is going to be hands-off. He mentioned as well, Joe Witt's going to call plays. Cliff Kingsbury's going to call plays. So he's just there to put everything together. And if you can be that hands-off delegator, it can work. I'm not saying it's going to be an immediate change around. Absolutely, I agree with you, Jesse. 7 games would be an absolute miracle if we can get that in the first season. We know the word rebuild was mentioned. He didn't say rebuild. He called it a reset, I think. But yeah, I mean, looking at this is where we are. Recalibration. Thanks, Scouse.
Yeah.
It's 26 players that are free agents. It's half your squad. You're going to have to go from there and build around what you can build around. You can't fill every single hole. It's impossible to do in one off season unless you go absolutely crazy and start, working the draft miracles. But we look at what the body of work is from the general manager, who he's picked in San Francisco, what he's done there. This is not a guy who's coming in, who's worked for 3 organizations where he's won rings. Do you know what I mean? Where he's done things in the NFL. I really feel like for the first time in a long time, the adults are in charge of this franchise. And the adults are in the room, and we have a plan to move forward. It might not work. We might be sitting here this time in December going, oh my God, it was rubbish. It didn't work, blah. But
there's
I don't think so.
Every year. One.
I know.
Yeah.
Right?
But we can't win. We just have to be solid and have a solid season. And if we can be competitive.
I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about, you look at every team for as long as there's been and how many times they start over and start over and start over, because there's only been 50 odd Super Bowls, right? So there's only been about 37, 40 champions. That would be an interesting thing to look up. The Patriots.
I remember back in the day when the Patriots were fucking rubbish. When they were shit.
I think Steve Grogan.
I remember it wasn't too long ago where the Chiefs were fucking 5-6 win team a year. Okay,
Alex Smith, what a bum.
I'm talking about before Alex Smith.
Busted leg bum.
The fucking key in all of this, and it's got to happen this year for this coaching staff to work out, period, is solving that quarterback problem that we've had for so long.
That's the NFL these days. But listen, okay, Scott, you said it's impossible to fill every single hole. Now, I've seen some videos, and it's not. So All right, so let me ask you this, Scout.
When you did the Elephant Man.
Okay. No, but there's a fun show in which he's a great character. And I'll have to talk to you guys about that later. Look, now you threw me all off. I'm thinking about the elephant, and I forgot my question that I was going to toss down to you there about the build that's coming up, because it's not what did he call it? What did you say? What did he say? He called it a reset, recalibration. All right, so that tells me that he sees talent on this squad, and I tend to agree. It might not be a great squad, but yeah, I think Jahan Dotson is not a bum. I don't think Terry McLaurin is a fucking bum. I don't even think Sam Howell is a bum. Right? I think we have a running back that is a damn good one if you feed him. It's interesting to see what happens with Gibson this year. I think we've got players. We need holes filled.
Well, we need. As far as Gibson goes, they gave Dan Quinn his jersey number, so I think he's going to be gone.
But I think
y'all see that.
No,
I didn't see that. Jersey.
So, okay? This move to Cliff Kingsbury. For one, it gives me the oogies because I don't like guys that have their. You got to spell your name with a fucking K because your last name is with a K. What is the fuck? Why don't you turn one backwards so you look real cute? Anyway,
special K.
This really makes this really set people off that it's Caleb Williams, and then now the Bears are in the catbird seat because they know they hold the key to Caleb Williams. What did I see it the way it was written today? You don't bring in Cliff Kingsbury to draft Drake May. Scouts, what do you think about this?
I think it's not going to be Drake May at 2. I really don't. I think that everyone thinks that Chicago have got the leverage. I don't think they do. I think we've got the leverage in this one.
Okay.
You think about what you mean, but Chicago are number 1, we're number 2. But the thing is, Caleb Williams, I think he doesn't want to play there. I know they'll come out and said, no, it's fine. No, we'll play anywhere. No, deep down, he doesn't want to play there. He wants to play for us, especially now Cliff has turned up. So we know we've got the leverage if we stay at 2. Or what we might do is go, well, actually, what we might do if you take Caleb, what we might do is kind of leverage the pick for like a Marvin Harrison who Chicago might drop down to if somebody tries to come up to get Caleb Williams. So
you're talking to the Eli Manning situation here.
Eli Manning situation, man, disaster. But yeah, I mean that was horrible. But again, that could happen. But for me, I think
Elway did it too.
Elway, yeah.
I don't want to play for this team. You better trade me straight away, etc., etc. And those things might happen. And we might actually get a Marvin Harrison at number 2, just so we can get Williams at the actually during the actual draft time. Now,
I'm sorry, Pete knows me too well.
Yeah. But in general, I think we stay at 2, and we leverage it because I think that Chicago are going to panic on the day. I really do.
I think you're right. Call their bluff. Okay, you want to draft
call their bluff.
You got Fields. What are you going to do? You're going to draft Caleb Williams 2 and hand them both to Eberflus? What are you going to do?
Yeah, if you pick him, then we just go with them. Daniels. I think it's going to go.
We need to wait till free agency opens, and when we need to see by the end of March, has Justin Fields moved anywhere? And if Justin Fields has moved, the hand's been played.
Is he a free agent?
Been played.
Or do
they have to trade him. They'll have to trade him somewhere. But think about the places. Think about the places he could go. Quite comfortably, he could go to Vegas. He could quite comfortably go to the Falcons. He could quite comfortably go to Minnesota. Exactly. There's lots and lots and lots of places for him to go. And I just think that is probably more realistic for what they're going to do. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be here. I really don't, unfortunately. And I wouldn't want actually us to trade to 1. I don't think we should do that.
Oh, we shouldn't trade up. No, I think we stand our ground and let Chicago make that decision because I think they're going to bottle it. I really do.
I think they'll do it before the draft even happens.
I think so too.
Look, I don't believe for 1 second that Drake May can't play in the air raid offense and be very good at it. We got absolutely. I mean, the offense that he runs with that he ran with Phil Longo is very, very similar.
Is that not an air raid offense in Carolina though, Jesse?
Kind of, yeah. So I think he's even more attractive right now. We're in a very, very good spot, especially because all 3 of the top quarterbacks would be very good in this offense, whether it's Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Jaden Daniels. Mm-hmm. So, stay put and pick the guy that's there. You need to rank them 1, 2, and 3. My feelings are Drake May. Caleb Williams is far beyond, the talent of either Daniels or May. So whoever's there, I think May's number 2. And
I do too.
May is safe. I just think that Williams gives you the potential to go way beyond.
Exactly. Yes. That's what Williams is like a Patrick Mahomes type of prospect. Okay, that's how I feel about Williams.
He's got that kind of skill set. Yeah.
May is a Justin Herbert with a better wheels. Type of
without that fucking stupid hair thing. I hate that damn thing.
And Jaden Daniels is a scrawnier RG3, and he can't read defense that very well. So,
okay,
I don't know. I'm not
gonna do a look for Bo Nix or anybody like that.
Out of those 3, who's the best runner? Like true, pure run, like kind of running
runner.
Back?
Jaden Daniels. Isn't it?
The running is not a necessity in the air raid offense, though.
But it is with Kingsbury, though, because look at what he did with Kyler. You mentioned about Kyler.
See, that's not a runner to me. That's a scrambler. All right, a scrambler.
Yeah, Kyler.
You watch Kyler Murray. You watch Kyler Murray, and you watch Patrick Mahomes. They do all that running around, scramble behind the line, and then they make a play. The guy that takes off and runs, that's a runner, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and listen, people discount Drake May's athleticism. The white boy can run, man. He can definitely scramble.
All young quarterbacks come
and he's a hell of a lot bigger, more sturdier as well too.
You don't see big fat quarterbacks come in the league. All right, they can all move and they can all run. And I know it seems kind of weird, but there's very few that I can remember. You can pick practically any of the greats that go back, except for maybe Brady and a couple others like Marino. But they all started off. You had to really worry about their freaking running. You really had to worry about it. Joe Montana, one of the people say he's the greatest quarterback of all time, or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Dude ran like a crazy son of a bitch when he was in his first few years.
Anyway, think about this. Who's more likely to get injured as well, too?
Injuries are
You look at Kyler Murray. He's small. He's short, but he is thick. He's
been injured a lot.
But he's also been injured, too.
We've seen him up close. He
shorter than me.
Yeah, he walked right under me, and I had no idea who it was.
You're right. To be fair, Jesse, you had your back turned. You were like looking at somewhere else, and I was like watching Ryan Kerrigan or something. And I was like, "That's Kyler Murray."
Tiny, that dude. Yeah.
He is small. He is very small when you're up close to him. I mean, comparison of Chase Young and Kyler Murray is no contest, is it? It just looks like what's happened there. But yeah, I mean, I get where you're going from. This is the question now. If we can settle this quarterback, this 25 years of retreads, of trying to do our own thing, of working it. I'm not off. Do you know what? I still kind of I'm clinging on to the Sam Howell train. I don't know why, but I wanted it to work. I really, really wanted it to work. And I thought it could work, but it didn't in the end. And I think EB broke him. One thing I was happy with was Dan Quinn put pay to that straight away on the question, said, "See, EB, thanks for your time, but you're gone." And that's it. That's it, dude. I mean, there was no bones, was there? It was just a straight up, "I respect what he's done. See you later." See you down the road.
Dude, I'll tell you what, all day long you see these people that are not Commanders fans, that are just freaking people that are out there in the NFL for Commanders be Commanders. I don't know why you get rid of EB. This is a defensive coordinator that held him to 16 points in 2 games. You think he doesn't know? Get out of here, buddy. But, I tell you what, something that, speaking of our social media friends, Chief, that we all follow, he said something smart today. Don't hate. Don't fucking go after EB and treat him like he kicked your dog or got your fucking daughter pregnant or something. It just didn't work out. He
ruined a quarterback with potential.
I don't know if he's ruined.
He did.
I do.
I think
what is his high end potential anyway? Even for as excited as we were at the beginning of the year, look at it now through the veil of honesty and think, what is his highest potential? Low end, mid-level starter group?
I don't think we'll ever know now. I honestly think
on him now. He doesn't.
Eric Bieniemy ruins any chance of Sam Howell being a top half of the league quarterback.
I do have video of Eric Bieniemy pissing on him that one time. Scouse, what do you think of that? Do you think that's real or am I just full of shit?
Well, I don't want to be nasty to you. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, well, let's see what he has.
Here it is.
Fuck. Our favorite video of the year.
Yeah. Shout out to Deuce.
EB has shafted Sam Howell all day. I mean, he's trying to expedite the process of trying to get this guy ready straight away, and it takes time. You can't just give them
Well, they tried to win. They were playing to win and not playing to
develop him properly.
To develop a quarterback.
I can't even say they were trying to win because the game plans he came in with were not at all going to win. They were slapdick, man. They were fucking. We're going to start the ball off throwing it. We're going to stay away from strengths that we have to be able to protect the younger quarterback. After 6 or 7 or 8 weeks of watching what happens and seeing what he does well, we're not going to do any of that when shit starts to go south. We're going to keep just fucking doing the same goddamn things and expecting different results every time. As you watched from like Thanksgiving on, as he progressively went down that fucking hill. All
right, so John, you just went on that tirade.
Yeah.
But then two minutes earlier, you just said, I don't think EB hurt Sam's development.
No, not that. Well, I'm saying EB hurt his own development, not Sam. Sam, I think, can bounce back from this. I think Sam's got the right mentality, but I don't think he's ever going to be anything other than a low-level starter.
But see,
if he's that,
we won't ever know now. I mean, we saw that Sam's talent this morning when he felt comfortable in the pocket and he was getting the ball out quick. Mm-hmm. You know, he had a couple really, really good games where he was working. And remember, I went out around the room. I said, "Do y'all think Sam's the guy?" And each one of y'all said yes, or at least y'all were like 90% sure.
Right. Now let me ask you this. In England, now here in America, we have this thing called time, and when time happens, things happen that we can watch to make decisions based on what we've seen. Does this happen over in the UK?
Well, yeah, it does. Yeah, timestamp for the timestamp guy. John just got called out at 26 minutes, so I will rewatch that back. But no, in all seriousness, one thing I did like was I just wanted to see, and I want to see moving forward, a competitive football team. Wins and losses are one thing, but when players are giving everything they've got for that shirt, and they can, you running through a brick wall for your head coach. It didn't work towards the end of the Ron Rivera era. This last season, you could see by the losing by week 14, them players, whether we like it or not, they didn't give a shit. They really didn't give a shit. They just couldn't wait till the season was ending. They're thinking about packing their flip-flops and pissing off to Cabo or wherever they're going to go in the off-season, and they were not interested. I just want to see 100% effort every time you're on that field. And if you can see that, you can accept that. And if you lose to the better team on the day, because either you were outplay called or whatever's happened, you can accept the loss in that way. Not accept it because it hurts. It hurts massively when you lose. I hate losing. But every single Thursday, and Scouse will tell you, it's like therapy for me with him on the 1 Point Safety Show. We're sitting there going, "Oh, we've lost again," and then you're coming on here as well, and you make this a fun environment, and I love it. But it isn't depressing. It's just it ruins you. It ruins your weekend. Look at Keith. He hasn't even been checked in since October. We've seen him for the first time.
Not really unusual, though.
No, but it's the first time we've seen him in 6 or 7 weeks last show. And
you see, he bothered to get out of bed too, right?
I know, but this is the way that fans are feeling at the moment, and we were all hyped up, maybe too hyped up for the start of the season. New regime, new takeover, unbelievable. Snyder's finally gone. This is going to be amazing. Sellout crowds, and it was just the same shit of meh. But I don't think it's going to be the same shit of meh.
Scott said, we're waiting to go to Cabo. I don't think they deserve to go to New Jersey. I mean,
Keith lives in New Jersey, for fuck's sake. No, and by the way, I know Keith will, dude. I understand completely. Keith is being the family man. I fuck with him every goddamn weekend.
I know, man. I get it.
Keith is the family man, and he's taking care of his kids, doing some stuff, and he's doing the right thing. So good for him. All right. So let me ask you this. I was going to make this point earlier, and I forgot where I was going with it. But the fact of the matter is that we had these scouts and all of these like the Martys making these picks, okay, and we give them the bad coaches, so the potential exists that these guys might not be so bad. So, can you see something positive that can happen for something like
the scouts and the Martys weren't making the pick, man? This is Ron Rivera's build,
right?
Now,
but they don't know how to teach him.
Okay, you're right about that. I am giving the Martys a pass. Okay, I don't care that they're here because they're not in charge.
No.
Okay, they are not fucking in charge. They are executives in the building with some experience, and
they're making recommendations.
Exactly, or saying or given what I appreciated about Dan Quinn's press conference, talking about Adam Peters and their relationship, someone to bounce ideas off of, okay? See, kind of to check them, to keep them in check, and people need that. They don't need. We can't hire every top-notch person there is out there. That's impossible. But you got to surround yourself with people with knowledge. And both the Martys has been in the NFL for a very, very fucking long time. So thinking that they just outright suck is not true because we don't really fucking know.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. Like that's what I was getting to. Is what are these players going to look like under real coaching? I want to see how many of them they keep. Scouts, what do you think? That Cam Curl, somebody like this coming up for contract. All right. How do you look at the last 3 years of him when you're negotiating this? Do you even want to talk to him?
Oh, I want to talk to him. 100%. I want to talk to him. I mean, it just depends. Again, what his agent wants, how much does he want, and can we make it work? Because last year, big time down year.
Yeah.
There's his worst season by far.
Yeah.
By far. He's never been a guy who's going to hit the stats so much, with interceptions and big turnovers. That's not his game. He's just a solid tackler, and he kind of the glue of the kind of secondary.
He's that down in the box guy, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I think he's best played. I think he's best as a strong safety person. I think that's what his best position is.
Mm-hmm.
He is versatile, which again helps definitely. I would.
He's not a top safety in the league. I'm sorry.
Right. And now, see, last year, if we had this conversation about his contract, we would have thought completely different about what we would have.
For me, if I'm Peters, what I'd be doing, I'd be letting him test free agency and see what he can get.
100%.
Interesting.
And then see, is it ridiculous money or is it not? And then if it's not, then we'll come back to the table. And maybe because I do want him on my team.
Okay.
It depends how much, really. And
I'm not paying him top of the market safety money.
No, I don't think he's gonna hear about it either.
Yeah, he wasn't good enough last year. He wasn't good enough, and the year before he was kind of okay. But his last 2 years haven't been top level.
He had one excellent year, and that was his rookie year. We're 3 years removed from that.
Right. Well, I mean, he showed flashes, but at the same time, we've seen how piss poor the defense was coached in terms of, especially the defensive backs. So, question would be this. All right, so Jesse, you watch the secondary a lot. All right, so Forrest, Quan Martin, Percy Butler, they've got to be able to benefit from this coaching. They've got to be able to benefit from this coaching. Does that make them more expendable?
When these guys, say Percy Butler, for example, are given 4 different playbooks to learn 4 different fucking positions
as a rookie,
right? How feasible is that really?
It's not doable. We saw why. It's just and it didn't work.
That was something that he said in his press conference. He said, "I want to see them from the inside of the helmet, from their view of what they're doing." And it wasn't the old EB, I'm going to put them in the best positions to do, but it was very similar to that. But what he's saying was, if that play doesn't work, I'll take that play out and we won't use it. And I thought, wow, okay, this is interesting. Yeah. To hear what he's saying.
If he makes him, if the player's got to think,
that's it. Yeah,
then that's it. It's already out the playbook because
and not being instinctive to tackle.
To mess up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, all right. So, what did you think when he said he wanted to get inside their pants?
Scott got the camera out.
Oh, I was watching it wrong.
Yeah,
I was watching the wrong. I was back with that every hole getting filled.
Did you get back to church again?
No.
What I did like about the press conference was that Quinn was talking about adapting his scheme to the players' best skill sets.
Yeah.
More than saying, "Here's my scheme. You got to fit it. You got to fit into it," like Del Rio was doing. No, you can see it's a different process, man. I think he's going to find these guys who got like certain skill sets and go, you know what, this guy perfect for the pass rush on third downs. This guy be doing this and that, the other, and no-namers that you won't even find in like 5th and 6th rounds who will actually produce for us. I really do, man. I think he's I like him what he said today.
Mm-hmm. You know, another thing I appreciated too is it seemed like Dan, you can tell he's really wanted this job. He really wanted to be here.
Oh yeah.
And he just wants to coach. He doesn't want anything to do with player personnel. And that's going to be Adam Peters, man, and the team that he's going to, put around him.
Well, I'm sure he'll have input.
I think, I think he'll have input as far as, okay, I need a linebacker, or I need, I need a starting quality free safety, or what have you, But look, I mean, as far as the team needs and what this defense in particular needs, it needs a lot, It really does. It needs at least 2 linebackers. It needs at least 2 defensive backs, and it needs at least 2 edge rushers.
2 edge rushers, yeah. Well, KJ Henry has been pointed at to be a breakout star for next year by Pro Football.
The thing as well is
we're PFF. If you believe PFF, then you got to believe PFF.
Well, it's not a matter of whether I believe it or not. I just don't know how anybody can look at the fucking crystal ball and say, here's what I think is going to happen in the future. So
we are looking at this through the one lens of the draft. We also have enormous cap space, ways of managing the cap, ways of signing players that are out there that can make a massive difference to this team. Edge rushers are heavy set in the draft. There's lots and lots of free agents. Sorry, not in the draft, in the free agency. There's lots and lots of them out there. And then you think,
as long as
look, of course it's going to be a lot of money. 20 million is the going rate per year for Patrick Queen. Same for Josh Allen. Pay him. But make sure you pay him, but you pay him in signing bonus. This is the other thing we talked about. We have a cash-rich ownership group. We don't have to pay huge top dollar when you can burn it by putting that into signing bonuses. Your best thing, apart from your general manager, is the person who's running your cap.
You got to be smart with signing bonuses too, because that's still it's still putting out the cap.
Yeah, you
spread it around.
Of course,
but
spread it around though. That's
one of the things that got Snyder in trouble in his first 10 years was he kept doing these renegotiations and pushing the cap down the road, and you end up paying a piper. They made the rules set so that you can't just hide cap. So, but you see these contracts and they would say, okay, this year, this guy's only going to make $1.2 million. Bullshit. They give him $200 million up front. But then at the end of the contract, that's when all the salary explodes and they cut him long before that. You're either, and if they want to keep him, they used to do this with Chris Samuels all the time. We're going to renegotiate your contract, where they take this gigantic lump sum at the end of the fucking deal. They chop it up into a fucking signing bonus and then push the rest of it down the road. And eventually you have a team where you have Danny Werfel as your fucking quarterback.
Dude, I get it. I get it. But teams have done that. Teams have done that throughout the years, and they get away with it.
The Rams are doing it right now.
Saints have done it. Rams have done it. If you want to win and you want to build it, you have to do it that way.
Hey, old guy moment. Let me give you an old guy bit of wisdom here. The only 2 teams I've ever seen that have done this and won the Super Bowl were the Rams. All right, where they brought in a team. They basically brought in everybody. Come on in, let's win the Super Bowl. And the 2002 Buccaneers. Everybody on that defense they drafted for the most part, but that offense, every skill position player they brought in from someplace else. But other than that, it doesn't work. The draft is the primary.
Yeah, but I think this year the draft is going to be primarily to fill out the offense. And defense will be primarily
free agency. Yeah, I agree with you there. I agree with you there.
Linebackers out there. Patrick Queen, come on in, baby.
That's what I'm saying. Josh Allen, Patrick Queen, take a tackle, in free agency as well. And it doesn't have to be an amazing tackle. Glasgow from the Lions is free as a guard, left guard. Get him in. It's not going to be a big deal either. There are players out there that we're going to think, who's this guy? He's played a few snaps that are going to make a difference. Chris Paul's brother, Patrick Paul. Is it Patrick? Is that his name? I can't remember his name.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah. He looks pretty good. You're not going to be in the race for an Amarius Mims, a Fuaga, any of these other two top tackles, the Olts, the Fashanus. They're just not going to be there. But we are at the top of the second round. So if it's me, I'm taking a QB at 2. Then I'm looking at offensive line immediately at whatever I can get in that second round. You never know. People fall. Latham might fall. You don't know who's going to fall. It depends on what we get out of it. There is going to be talent in the top of this draft. We have a lot of picks. That's why I don't want us going anywhere near trading up to the first to the first overall pick, because we are not in a position to do that.
I'll say this about trading up. If we get away with trading our number 2 and next year's 1 and maybe like a 3rd round pick, I'm all for it.
Hey, you know what? The Vikings were supposedly making waves today by saying that they would be willing to trade and that they were willing to pull out the stops to make a trade. So, I mean, honestly, if Cliff Kingsbury said he could work with Sam Howell and, I don't know, Justin Jefferson and a couple extra picks and stuff like that, could you live with that?
Yeah. Would you?
Oh, no. I think
what if, right?
Would you pick up a free agent?
Sam Howell's not going to be the starter.
No, I don't think so either.
No, he's not. Would you pick
Sam
up
Howell's not going to be the starter.
All right.
I think Kirk Cousins has a better chance of being the starter for the Washington Commanders than Sam Howell.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Before, I call this guy Martin Mayhem because he causes mayhem. So just as long as as long as Peters has got the ball to say, just shut up, man, and let me do my thing, then I'm happy for him to stick around. But as long as Peters has actually got the ball to say no to him, because don't forget,
Peters is in charge.
Peters is in charge. Yeah,
Makey was the guy who actually brought him in originally in San Fran. So you got to think about that, and obviously a bit of nepotism and stuff. But what I mean is like he's got his back. That's why Mayhem's going to be sticking around, not because he's good. And the thing is, as long as Peters just goes, wait there a minute. No, let me do it. No, make me give the final decision rather than him in his ear all the time. Then I can handle him sticking around. Otherwise, just get out now. You know what I mean?
But look, that's what I mean. You're absolutely right, Scouts. Look at what they did in San Francisco. He is credited for you might not be the 3rd round, but everything from the 4th round onwards, he's picked them players. The likes of a George Kittle, the likes of a Hargrave, the likes of there's lots and lots out there that he's picked. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. I'll pick him up. Yeah, no problem.
Like the way you say
we have no topics. You know how this show goes.
I would also like to point out, since you bring his name up, fucking Quan Martin folded George Kittle in half like a goddamn shirt at a Chinese laundry. Fah!
He did actually. He did actually. Yeah.
He got him good. All right, so I'm looking over here. I was trying to get rid of something over here that we were looking at because Scott was saying names, and I figured, okay, he's just showing off because he is the official podcast name announcer. And I saw this one.
Didn't he get paid for
that?
I
can't remember what the fuck I had it up here for, but there it is.
Scott's neck.
There you go. Because I don't ever see your neck. All right, so
what
about
see it? Yeah, you can't see the neck.
He hasn't got a neck. That's right.
Yes, I'm going to throw this one out there. We heard that.
I can't wait till this weekend.
Scout neck.
We heard from Mike Garofalo last week that
Garofalo.
Whatever, Garofalo, Mike, whatever.
We heard from
him. Yeah. We heard from that guy that over in Seattle, Ben Johnson interviewed so badly that he went home and hit his head under his fucking pillow and said he was not going to coach. He was going to stay in Detroit, right? Then we hear this counter report come out from some clown at ESPN saying that he said, I don't want to work for people that basketball. They don't know what they're talking about. So what do you think?
Did you see the all right, I'll urge everyone to watch it. Go and watch Schefter on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, where he talked about it's about a 3-minute segment. I'll find it and I'll retweet it so everyone can see it. He went in on Ben Johnson about this, and it was you could see him getting actually quite aggressive. I was like, "Go on, Shefty," saying it's basically just total bullshit. He didn't interview well in Seattle.
Which one is bullshit? He didn't want to work for the basketball.
Ben Johnson. No, Ben Johnson is total talking bullshit. He didn't interview well in Seattle, by all accounts, either.
Right.
So Commanders aren't lying here by saying, oh, and then he brought it up about the texting and said, if you haven't even got the decency to sit there while they're in the middle of the air and go, oh, I don't want this job. Look, sit in there for 2 hours and speak to them and say, look, sorry,
carpool
it's
there
just
in
not for
Glen.
me.
He's going over there anyway.
Well, yeah, exactly. But that's what you could have done,
It's unprofessional, isn't it? It's unprofessional. That's what that is.
Massively unprofessional. Massively.
I think you're right. As a manager / owner coming over to see somebody.
When Schefter said his piece, sorry, Scouts. When Schefter said his piece, is he talking about? Did Johnson say he didn't want to work for basketball people?
Yeah, he did.
That motherfucker went back to work for a goddamn car maker, and she's the granddaughter of a car maker and a fucking tire maker. What the fuck? All of these ownership groups, none of them played football. Jerry Jones, I played football at Arkansas, but I stick my dick in the ground and hope for oil. These who the fuck? What kind of stupid shit is that? Jesus Christ!
Let's face it. He knew he fucked up the interviews. It's as simple as that. And he thought, I'm not gonna get
clown boy
a job, so I might as well just pull out now before I get.
Talk about the fucking media, the media, and how fucking clueless some of these people are. Talking about the whole Dan Quinn hire, trying to shit on that, trying to say that this this ownership group and Adam Peters fucked up. And it's total utter bullshit. I mean, if you listen to the likes of Kime and Sheehan and Ben Stanley, the ones that are plugged in to the actual team, have sources to the actual team, they rebut and refute all of what they're saying about the whole thing. Like, there was no top consensus coach, there was not a topper. They wanted to talk to everybody. They had top candidates. Ben Johnson was a top candidate, but guess what? Dan Quinn was a top candidate.
According to time, Quinn blew him away.
Yeah,
Raheem
Morris
was a top candidate.
They let Raheem Morris go to Atlanta because they wanted to stay and talk to Ben Johnson.
Yeah, they wanted to finish their process, and if someone got away, they were fine with that because they still had other options, people that they coaches that they liked. Ding, ding, ding. Dan Quinn. They figured they were always going to go after Dan Quinn regardless. I mean,
that's what happened to Raheem Morris, wasn't it? Wasn't he like been offered a job at Atlanta? But we've already interviewed him. We said, well, no, we're going to do our full process first.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
That came from
there's reports out there. There's reports out there that we offered McDonald's. Bullshit. We never offered to McDonald's. There was reports out there that we offered to Raheem Morris. No, we did not make an offer to Raheem Morris. Like, all these reports are out there. It just makes this team look bad. But if people actually do some real investigation work, if we can do the investigative work, us as fans, and figure out what the fuck is going on, so should the fucking national media. All you got to do is listen to Adam Schefter. All you got to do is listen to Albert Breer. I mean, these guys on the national level, there is nobody higher and more plugged into the NFL than these guys. Those two are saying what actually happened because they're getting the information from the same people that John Kime's getting the information from.
Believe it or not,
you listen to what Bram Weinstein's saying. He's saying there, Quinn was always gonna be one of the top candidates.
He blew him away.
He knew from day one. He said, "This is how it's going to be," but they had to finish their process. And if they didn't finish the process, and as you said, coaches get away. Coaches get away. That's how the NFL works.
Yeah,
and that is it. And when you listen to what Peters is saying next to Quinn, that it was always going to go back, and the way that he's fired up to do this job, I love that. I love the fact that he's sitting there saying, "I want to be here." It's not I took the job. Yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to build the culture. We're going to blah, blah, blah. We're going to do it. How many times we sat in a press conference and listened to these coaches? Eric Bieniemy talking in the third fucking person. I mean,
I end up looking at videos of people
Eric Bieniemy going to tailor an offense around the players.
Look, Schefter broke it on Quinn.
Jesse Martin's going to pick his fucking nose on the goddamn screen.
Schefter was talking about Quinn, and I'll give this to Keith. Our buddy in absentee, Keith, he put it out on Twitter. He rarely tweets anymore, but he said, "You know what? Schefter just quiet flexed on Dan Quinn because he knew it. And he hinted at it right before it happened, that this is what they've liked. This is what they've liked all along. And I'm glad to hear that you say that he's saying these things about Johnson, because that whole thing left a bad taste. And if he's going to run his mouth behind the scenes after the fact and say, I don't want to work for basketball people, dude, you work for a fucking woman that goddamn come from the loins of a car manufacturer. Fuck all. Jesus Christ, it drives me crazy. They're owners.
They're
their money. That's all.
When Ben Johnson was like, yeah, they were too confident in themselves. I mean, these guys are fucking billionaires.
I mean, how stupid could they be? They thought you were honorable.
Dude, they're billionaires, and the GM's got what? How many rings? I mean, fuck me. What are you playing at here? You're coming from winning organizations. This is not the Lions. Now, don't get me wrong. I rooted for the Lions. I wanted the Lions to do well this year.
We're not going to down talk the Lions. No, we got no room to talk about.
Winners.
They will not be there next year, mate.
Whether they are or not, to sit there and say some nonsense about, these are basketball people. They're owners. They're owners. Your owner comes from, she's a fucking silver spoon handed all her money, for God's sakes. What do they know about shit anything?
I want to tell you
what I like in a good ownership group is somebody who knows how to treat their servants. Let me tell you something. They give a good, nice Christmas goose at fucking holiday time to their butler. Fuck off.
The other thing the other thing we haven't talked about there is, like Deluxe has just said there, these guys wanted these jobs because they wanted to be here, not for the dollars. It was too good to turn down. That is absolutely right, that comment. Right. Look at the way that they wanted it. Peters has come in here and thought, I can run this shit myself. I can rebuild this franchise or whatever, recalibrate this franchise, as I said today. In my mold, I can get the players in that I need to get in, and I'm going to have time with a patient owner. Exactly the same thing for Dan Quinn. All I've got to do is motivate these guys to win, to make them run through a brick wall. I ain't got to sit here and play and call plays, which I struggled with last time. And I openly admit I struggled doing that and seeing the whole thing as a whole. One other thing we talked about briefly before, but I want to go back to this point, and Scouse probably, or Jesse, whoever wants to pick this up. Will we see positional coaching changes, and will there be a change at special teams because a special teams coordinator, or do you think Katz is fine where he is? I don't know, because that's where we struggled. It isn't about I don't think it's necessarily the coordinators. It's the positional coaches beyond them that have been terrible.
I bet we'll get a new linebacker coach.
100% agree with you.
Yeah, I think
I can see us raiding the Dallas for other positional coaches. 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
I kind of want to. I would rather them get. Joe Witt's fine, okay, but I'd rather them, kind of cast that net out wide and try to cherry pick.
You, as a position coach, you need to know the scheme, and if you've already been in the scheme for 2-3 years, like Joe Witt has, on the Dan Quinn
assume that you're going to run the same scheme, and if you do that, then the Cowboys know what to do about it.
I'm sure you trained them some of it, but not a lot in the first season.
I wouldn't want to bring over like their whole staff, because you don't have all of their players too. Everybody's going to talk about how, they did all this and they did all that. That's why I brought up the interceptions, because Witt was their passing game defensive coordinator. He coordinated against the passing game, and that is a hell of a stat. But when you got Micah Parsons, that makes things easier. When you got Micah Parsons, it makes things easier.
Let's be honest here. Position coaches are more coach on technique than actual scheme.
Play calling, yeah. Right.
Or in play calling. So, yeah, I mean, there might be a position coach here or there that they might keep. Who knows? They are a little bit late to the party as far as doing their hiring. I guess we'll see. I want to back up just a little bit.
It's got to be better than Brent Vesselmeyer. Jesus.
When you bring over Cowboys coordinators, you get what you pay for. That's what I think.
Is that North?
The fan base, it's funny when Dan Quinn was hired, and I wanted to mention this on our last podcast, but the fan base that was upset at the Quinn hiring, most of those same people wanted Raheem Morris. And thinking about that for a second, if you really think about that, you're upset at the hire of Dan Quinn, but you wanted to go to a worse head coach, someone that wasn't nearly as good as a defensive coordinator. That just did not make any sense to me. I don't think this fan base is really. I think the recency bias is real.
I also think the single game bias is real too. Look, just because he lost in the Super Bowl.
That's what I mean.
All right, you know what? Dan Quinn blew it in the Super Bowl. All right, but do you guys remember the entire fourth quarter? You're going, just run the ball to the Falcons. Just run the fucking ball. Just run the ball. There was one situation where they had all they needed was a couple of yards. Just run the fucking ball, and they could have run the clock out. And no, granted, yeah, that was bad. But if everybody looked at your worst day, right, and that's just who you are. Like Jesse, you're chasing a giant piece of machinery across a schoolyard in front of a bunch of middle school kids, right? Scouts, you got too much lube on your hands. Your thumb went up that guy's butthole that time when you're working his quads. Scott, you're a combat dentist. You're giving you're doing a little bit of a root canal.
Root canal while getting mortared. Yeah, like
doing oral in a combat thing.
I don't do that shit anymore.
Right, that's what you were. You were like,
I'm just watching people drill into buzz bars. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
All right. I'm spent. We've got 4 minutes left in this show, so somebody else take over. I've asked a bunch of questions. Ask me a question. I think I deserve it.
So, what are you most looking forward to under this?
Who the fuck asked you? I don't know. What am I most looking forward to?
Yeah, what excites you now about this team? About this coaching hire?
Look, anytime it's fresh and new excites me because we got a chance to start again. It's sports. I have a nice foot on the floor when it comes to sports. I'm not owed anything. I just want a chance. And as long as I feel like we have a chance, I'm all right with that. I buy into the hype all the damn time. I'm not Tim Meek. Don't get me wrong. I'm not Tim.
Tim is pure rah-rah, and there isn't a single thing in his body. But I love Tim.
Yeah,
he's my guy.
I'm excited.
Gold colored
draft. I want to see what we're going to do with the draft. The chances that we come out of this with the chance of having a hotshot new quarterback, because that's the NFL now. Let's not take a chance on this guy. We're gonna bet on this guy, and I'm a little excited for that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, mine's a draft. I mean, what do we do at 2? That's the most. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. Because that is going to be a pivotal point in the franchise right here.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, Pete from Bristol says we finally get to be the adults in the room. I got to tell you, Pete, I was talking earlier about it. I saw this video of these adults in the room. Every hole was filled overnight, multiple times. All right, so there you go.
Dear me, John.
All right, Scouts, what are you looking forward to?
Your cable bill is going to be terrible.
My cable bill? Boy, you're coming to America, man. You're going to enjoy it here.
We'll see.
All those blue movies.
They don't make you pay.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
On the free.
What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the draft party because there's going to be a draft party this year. It's got to be, hasn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, we've got to organize a draft party. 100% we got organized.
He's already said he wanted to go because he could be in bed by 10 o'clock. We're picking number 2. He'd be like,
yeah, facts. Well, remember last time, Scouts, we got kicked out of the friggin' casino at like 3 in the morning. Oh, it was 6.
Oh, 6 a.m. It was, yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, sorry, guys, you've got to go. It was 3 when he missed the last 3 picks. Yeah. Like trying to get it on 5G. Like, can you see who it is? Who's the tennis thing?
It's been an absolute fortune in this casino. You know what I mean? Like, and they wouldn't even keep it on for an extra 20 minutes. Ridiculous.
It was.
Yeah. Yam's getting distracted by my machine, so I don't know.
That's all right. Now I want to bring one thing up here. Let me see here. Let me move this thing around a little bit so that I can do this with it. Yeah, I want to talk about this. We talked about this before the show. Now, what is this up on your forehead, Scott? How did that happen? Look at
this bit here.
Man's been scarred. Yeah, no, not over there. There it is.
There it is. Yeah,
fighting a werewolf or something.
Oh, Bruce as well.
No. What happened? Do you want the story?
Yes, I'll tell you the story. Give us the unedited story.
So I'd gone to bed last night. Wife is lying next to me. I thought, happy days. I'll get in. Snuggled in. I thought, this is nice. She's there on the right side. And I thought, No. And I thought, I can feel. I thought, stomach don't feel right here. So I let one go, and it was very loud. Right? And then she just went, "Yeah, exactly."
And then you actually cut your head by farting. Jesus, man.
She said,
What did she do?
"You dirty bastard," and then put my head under the covers. And then as she pulled the quilt over the top of my covers, she scratched my face.
She
The
scratched.
Dutch oven.
He got a Dutch oven.
I
That's
did
right.
get a Dutch oven. Yeah, absolutely.
His wife a Dutch oven with his own fart. Now that is worth signing off on. We are at 1 hour. Thank you very much, Mrs. Hartley. I would suggest maybe next time get him on the other side of his head so it matches. And yeah, man, don't put up with that shit, especially in bed. I do think it's kind of interesting though, Scott, that when Scott gets in bed and he says, "Right, nice, oh cuddly, I'll climb in here. Got the wife right here, feeling right. She's ready. Let me just."
We've been married. We've been married nearly 19 years. It's just yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's what you do in bed, that's what you do in bed.
Yeah,
Scouts, we'll talk to you about that next time. Thanks for coming on. When do you guys have your next show coming up? 1 Point Safety Show.
Scouts, you want to say, man?
Thursday.
It's Thursday, 3 p.m. your time.
3 p.m. live on YouTube.
Scouts and Scotty are going on a little road trip. Yep, they're going on a little road trip to go see our boy Andy Burroughs, and we hope Andy's okay. They're going to go check on him. But I talked to Andy today, and I told Andy, do not kill my friend Scotty.
No, as a matter of fact, Andy,
what
I
about
would
me?
suggest
They don't care about me.
that's a fart in bed.
Well, you can hold your liquor. Scotty can't.
That's facts. It's absolute truth. There's no denying it. I haven't prepared or anything. It's just
yeah. He hasn't been doing the training. You know what I mean? That's the mistake.
Nah. All right. Well, we will definitely want some play-by-play once you guys are together. So, are you going to be on the show Friday? If we're going to do a show Friday, I guess we'll have to see what the rest of the week plays out. You'll probably be on the road. So, all right. Well, we'll see what happens next time. And until then, I guess I got to do this. There we go. There. I forget. Hey, that was a good show, fellas. We actually sounded like we talked some football.
I know, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. How about that? All right. So, until next time from the Bleeding Burgundy Podcast.
See you, Peter. See everybody in the chat. We'll see you next time.